Scrub the toilet ring. Bleach, brush, 10 minutes of effort. Looks white for 2 days. Then the brown line comes back. You buy a stronger bottle. Then a foaming gel. Then a tablet that sits in the tank. Line still comes back. You start to wonder if your toilet is just old. If your water is bad, if you're doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You've been sold the wrong problem. That brown ring isn't dirt. It isn't stain. It isn't even really bacteria. It's mineral, calcium and iron left behind every time the water level drops. Just a thin crust that grows a little each day. Bleach is alkaline. It's an oxidizer, built to break down organic pigment and disinfect. Mineral is neither organic nor a pigment. Bleach doesn't touch it. It only lightens the color for a day or two. Then the crust keeps growing underneath. Problem was never bacteria. It was mineral. And mineral has one weakness. Fuels, a mild acid, about 30 cents worth. Most of what's under your sink right now is solving problems you don't have in packaging you're paying for. In the next hour, I'll walk you through the 5-ingredient Japanese pantry that replaces most of it. $14. One drawer. Nothing you don't already recognize. Let me start with the pain. You wipe the toilet bowl on Sunday. By Wednesday, the brown line is back at the water level. You buy a stronger product. Same result. The line always returns. You look at the grout between your shower tiles. 6 months ago, it was white. Now, it's gray along the top, black along the bottom edge. Scrub with a toothbrush and a foaming spray. It looks better for a week. Then, the black comes back, a little further up the wall than before. Your towels smell fine when you fold them, but an hour after a shower, the towel on the hook smells sour. Not dirty, sour, like old milk. Faintly, you wash them on hot. You add extra detergent. The smell keeps coming back. You open the oven and see the glass. There's a brown film across the inside, thick in the corners, hazy in the middle. You spray the oven cleaner. You wait. You scrub. The corners never come clean. Your kitchen sink drain smells. Not every day, but some evenings. When you walk past, there's a wet, warm, faintly sweet smell rising out of it. You pour bleach down. It fades for a day. Then it's back. The wardrobe in the guest room smells like damp cardboard. Nothing is wet. Nothing is visibly wrong. But the clothes you keep in there come out smelling old. The base of your kitchen faucet has a white crust building around it. Every time you wipe it, it comes back within a week. You've tried 3 different sprays. Nothing lasts. None of this is your fault. This has happened to you not once, but every time you walk down that aisle. Look at the cabinet under your sink. Count the bottles. Most people have somewhere between 18 and 30. Here, bathroom spray, a kitchen spray, a glass spray, a tile spray, a wood spray, a stainless steel spray, a stovetop cream, fillet gel, a drain foam, a mold remover, a limescale remover, a daily shower spray, a disinfecting wipe, a bleach spray, a no bleach spray, a pet safe spray, a stone safe spray, a tub and tile, an all-purpose, a heavy duty, a gentle version of the heavy duty. Add them up. $300, maybe more, sitting in a cabinet under a sink. Please, here is the quiet thing the cleaning aisle does not want you to notice. There are only 5 active ingredients doing real work in that entire cabinet. An acid for dissolving mineral, a base for cutting grease, a surfactant for lifting oil away from surfaces, a mild abrasive for scrubbing without scratching, and in some bottles, a disinfectant, usually bleach or alcohol. 5 categories. The rest is water, fragrance, colorant, thickener, preservative, a slightly different pump top, a different bottle shape, a different name on the label. You are paying for water and perfume in 20 different packages, doing 5 different jobs. And there is one more thing. Fragrance is not cleaning. Fragrance is added at the end, so you can smell that a product was there. The lemon smell in the bathroom spray, the pine smell in the floor cleaner. The ocean breeze, the spring linen, the fresh cotton. None of it removes dirt. It is a signal added to a bottle, so your brain associates the smell with the work. Clean is not a smell. Clean is the absence of a smell. Truly clean kitchen doesn't smell like lemon. It smells like nothing. Truly clean bathroom doesn't smell like eucalyptus. It smells like nothing. When you walk into a house and the first thing you notice is a fragrance, what you're noticing is a product, not cleanliness. Once you see this, you cannot unsee it. I want to introduce a word. The Japanese word is Souji. It means simply cleaning. Not deep cleaning, not spring cleaning. Just the ordinary daily act of wiping, sweeping, tidying the surfaces you use. A Japanese household does Souji the way you make coffee. It is part of the day. Souji is not decluttering. Decluttering, deciding what to keep and what to throw away, has its own words in Japanese. That is a different practice. Souji is not about your possessions. It is about the surfaces of your home, and Souji is not a philosophy. It is not spiritual. It is not a secret. It is what people do every day in ordinary Japanese houses because they figured out something practical a long time ago. Principle is this. A surface that is wiped every day never becomes a project. A surface that is left alone for 6 months becomes a battle. The daily wipe takes 90 seconds. The battle takes 4 hours and 3 products. Souji is the 90 seconds. That's all it is. A second word. Souji. The O at the front is an intensifier that means big. Osouji is the once a year, deeper clean. Traditionally done in late December, before the new year. It is not weekly. It is not monthly. It is seasonal and it is short, because the daily Souji has already kept most surfaces from getting bad. And the third word, which you will hear again, Mottainai. It means roughly water waste. It is used when something useful is being thrown away, or something small is being ignored. A bottle of vinegar costs $1 and does the work of 4 sprays. Buying the 4 sprays instead is Mottainai. Now the pantry. 5 ingredients. Every one of them is at your grocery store right now. Walmart, Tesco, Kohl's, Loblaws. You do not need a specialty store. 8. You do not need to order anything online. 1. White vinegar. 5% acetic acid. A mild acid. It dissolves mineral scale, calcium, iron, soap scum, hard water rings. About $3 a gallon. 2. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. 3. A mild base. It cuts grease, neutralizes acidic odors. 3. And works as a gentle scrub that does not scratch glass, tile, or stainless steel. 3. About $2 a box. 3. Citric acid, a dry powder. Same category as vinegar, but stronger and without the smell. Sold in the baking aisle or the canning aisle. Excellent for kettles, dishwashers, coffee makers, and stubborn mineral rings. About $4 for a small tub that will last months. Or coarse salt, any coarse-grained kitchen salt. Sold as kosher salt in the United States, coarse sea salt in the United Kingdom and Australia. Used as a physical scrub, about $2. 5. Mild dish soap, unscented if you can find it, a surfactant. Lifts oil off surfaces so water can carry it away. Look for a free and clear version or a fragrance-free version. About $3. Total, about $14. Drawer, no specialty bottles. You will also want 2 cloths. Microfiber for glass and mirrors. 1 thick cotton cloth, similar to what Japanese homes call a zokin. A zokin is traditionally sewn from an old towel or worn-out fabric. In your supermarket, a cotton bar mop towel does the same job. 2. Buy 2, a short safety note, because this matters more than anything else in the video. Tools. Never mix bleach with ammonia. Together, they make chloramine gas, which is dangerous to breathe. Never mix bleach with vinegar or any acid. Together, they make chlorine gas, which is worse. Please never store hydrogen peroxide and vinegar in the same bottle. Separately, they are useful. Combined and sealed, they slowly form peracetic acid, which is corrosive. Please never pour a homemade solution into an old commercial spray bottle without rinsing it completely first. There may be residue from the previous product that reacts badly with what you're adding. Vinegar and citric acid should not be used on natural stone. Marble, granite, clear, travertine, limestone. The acid will etch the surface permanently. 3. Use a small drop of dish soap in warm water instead. Open a window or turn on a fan when working with any acid in a small room, especially a bathroom. Wear gloves if you have sensitive skin. Patch test on a small hidden area before applying anything to fabric, painted surfaces, or finished wood. If you are pregnant, please have asthma, or have known chemical sensitivities, use even simpler versions of these methods. Warm water and a drop of dish soap handle most everyday tasks on their own. Skip the acid steps unless you have someone else in the house who can do them, with the window open while you are elsewhere. That's the whole warning. It's short because the pantry is short. Leave ingredients, used one at a time with water in between. Now, the method. The Japanese approach to any dirty surface has 3 steps. Understand what the dirt actually is. Choose the ingredient that matches. Give it enough time. That's it. That is the entire method. The reason your toilet ring came back is because bleach was the wrong tool. The reason your grout stays gray is because the spray you used had no abrasive. The reason your towels smell sour is because your washing machine, not your detergent, needs attention. Every problem I listed at the beginning of this video has a simple, cheap, chemistry, honest answer. Please. In the next part, we'll walk through all of them. Bathroom first, then kitchen, then laundry, then glass, then the damp corners of the house. Name 5 ingredients, different combinations, applied slowly in a rhythm that fits into ordinary days. The bottles under your sink can go, most of them anyway. You will not miss them. But we start here because the bathroom is where the marketing was loudest. It is also where the chemistry is simplest. If you understand the bathroom, you understand almost everything else. Ring. The toilet ring. The problem. A brown or gray line at the water level of the toilet bowl. Rub it with bleach. It fades. 2-3 days later, it's back. You buy a stronger product. Same story. The line always returns, always at the same height. Chemistry. That ring is not organic. It is not bacteria. It is not stain. It is a thin crust of mineral, mostly calcium carbonate, with some iron oxide mixed in. Every time the water level in the bowl rises and falls, minerals from the water are left behind at the waterline. Over months, they build up. Bleach is alkaline, and it is an oxidizer. It is designed to break down organic material, to lighten pigment, to disinfect. It has almost no effect on mineral. It bleaches the color of the ring for a day or two. Which is why you thought it was working. But the mineral crust is still there, growing underneath. That is why the line returns. Mineral has one weakness. Mild acid. Vinegar. Roughly 30 cents worth, the steps. Bed. Put on gloves and open a window. Pour 2 cups of white vinegar directly into the toilet bowl, aimed at the ring. You will hear a soft hiss, then quiet. Close the lid. Leave it overnight. Do not use the toilet. In the morning, take a stiff toilet brush and scrub the ring gently. Comes off in soft, powdery strands. Flush. Total hands-on time, about 90 seconds spread across 2 visits. 8 time. 8 hours while you sleep. For a very old or very thick ring, you may need to repeat the process for 2 or 3 nights. That is normal. You are dissolving something that took months to build. Here, never pour vinegar into a toilet that has any bleach-based product in it. Flush twice first to clear the bowl. The cultural context. In a Japanese home, toilet is wiped at the rim. Quickly, most days. Dry cloth, sometimes a slightly damp one. 30 seconds. Because it is wiped so often, a ring never has time to form. Please, when we talk about Souji, this is what we mean. Not a project. A habit that keeps projects from starting. Here is the first quiet realization. The reason your toilet ring kept coming back is not because you were lazy or using the wrong brand. It is because the entire cleaning aisle was pointing you at the wrong problem. Bacteria, germs, sanitize. When the problem was mineral, and mineral is cheap to solve. M2, black grout in the shower. Problem. The lines of grout between your shower tiles used to be white. Feel, now the vertical lines are gray and the horizontal lines near the floor of the shower are black. Rub with a toothbrush and a foaming spray. It looks cleaner for a week. Then the black comes back, sometimes a little higher up the wall than before. Chemistry. Grout is porous. Water sits in it after every shower. Body oil, soap residue and skin cells collect in the pores. Warm, damp, dark, nutrient-rich. That is a place where mildew and mold colonies grow. Iris, the black you see, is not stain in the paint sense. It is a living surface, a very thin layer of biological material sitting inside the pores of the grout. Bleach kills the surface of that layer, but bleach evaporates fast and it does not scrub. Colony is still inside the pores. Within a week, the surface repopulates. That is why it keeps coming back. You need two things. Something mildly alkaline to break down the organic film, and something gently abrasive to lift it out of the pores. Baking soda does both jobs in one ingredient. The steps. Make a paste. 3 tablespoons of baking soda, enough water to make a thick, tunable paste, about the consistency of toothpaste. With an old toothbrush, scoop paste onto the grout lines. Cover them completely. Leave for 15 minutes while you do something else. Return. Scrub each line firmly along its length, not across. Rinse with warm water. Let the shower air dry with the door open. That is very deeply darkened. Repeat once a week for 3 weeks. It gets better each time. Do not use bleach in the same session. If you have bleach residue anywhere in the shower from a previous product, rinse thoroughly first. The room. Open the window. Turn the fan on. Cultural context. In many Japanese bathrooms, the whole room is wiped down or squeegeed after the last shower of the day. The walls, the floor, the seat, the mirror, rubbed, not just brought to dry. A wet surface grows things. A dry surface does not. This is the prevention first mind again. Rather than fight what grew, they remove the conditions where growth begins. The pattern here matters. You are not being asked to scrub harder. You are being asked to arrange the room so that scrubbing hard becomes unnecessary. The shower head that sprays sideways. The problem. Your shower used to have a strong, even spray. Now some of the holes are blocked, some spray sideways, and the whole thing runs at half pressure. Tried. Unscrewing it, you've poked the holes with a pin. It helps for a day. The chemistry, same as the toilet ring. Mineral, mostly calcium and magnesium, deposited slowly over months as water passes through the tiny holes and evaporates. Mineral hardens inside each hole. A pin only clears the surface. Age is deeper in. Vinegar works, but for a shower head, citric acid is stronger and faster and has no smell. Gold as a white powder in the baking or canning section, usually next to the pectin. The steps. Fill a plastic bag or a bowl with warm water. 3. Add 2 tablespoons of citric acid powder. Stir until dissolved. If your shower head unscrews easily, remove it and submerge it in the bowl. If it doesn't come off, put the solution in a strong plastic bag. Wrap the bag around the shower head, and secure it with a rubber band so the head is submerged in the solution. Leave for 1 hour. Remove. Rinse thoroughly. Run the shower on hot for a minute to flush the internal channels. Here, the mineral will come out of the holes in soft flakes. 3. The spray pattern will return to what it was when the shower was new. Do not do this to a shower head labeled brass or with visible brass finish without checking the manufacturer's guidance. Use citric acid can dull some plated finishes. For most modern chrome or stainless heads, it is safe. Cultural context. There is a Japanese phrase, Mottainai, which we introduced in the first part. It applies here in the smallest way. A shower head is a piece of equipment. Cost $30. Replacing it because it stopped working well when a 1-hour soak in 50 cents of powder would have restored it is Mottainai. The idea is not about frugality for its own sake. It is about noticing when something can be maintained instead of replaced. EM4. The white crust at the base of the kitchen faucet. Problem. Around the base of your faucet, where the metal meets the sink, a hard white or pale gray crust has built up. You wipe it. It's still there. You scrub it. Some comes off. Within a week, it's back. The chemistry. Every time water splashes near the faucet and evaporates, minerals are left behind, right at the base. Over months, they accumulate and harden. This is the same limescale that forms inside kettles and dishwashers. Calcium carbonate, with variations depending on your local water. Vinegar dissolves it. Slowly, quietly, without any scrubbing. 3 steps. Take a paper towel or a small cotton cloth. Soak it in white vinegar. Wrap it around the base of the faucet so the crust is completely covered. Leave for 1 hour. Remove the cloth. Wipe the base with a damp cloth. Rinse with clean water. Dry with a soft cloth. The crust comes away in a soft, chalky film. If you have a natural stone counter, marble or granite, place a plastic bag or piece of plastic wrap between the vinegar cloth and the countertop. Acid will etch the stone permanently. This is the single most common expensive mistake in DIY cleaning. Please pay attention to this warning. For a stainless steel or ceramic sink, no barrier is needed. Just work carefully. The cultural context. The Japanese kitchen sink is often wiped and dried after each meal. Not because someone is being particular, because a wet sink is where mineral rings form, where soap film builds, where the little brown streak at the drain begins. The dry sink is the sink that stays looking new for 10 years. Here, 90 seconds a day. The alternative is what you're doing now. Micro receipt. Notice something. 4 bathroom problems. Only 2 ingredients so far. Vinegar, baking soda. Plus 1 specialist for stronger jobs. Citric acid. Good. That is the whole story of the bathroom. Everything else in the cleaning aisle is packaging. Notice one more thing. Every method used the same rhythm. Try, wait, wipe. The waiting does the work, not you. This is the shift. You are not scrubbing harder. You are letting simple chemistry act for long enough. 15 minutes, an hour. Overnight, while you sleep or make dinner or watch something. Kitchen M5. The brown film on the oven glass. The problem. The inside of your oven door has a brown hazy film. Speaker in doconers. Households. There are dark spots. Sometimes there are dark spots where something bubbled over months ago and got baked on. You've sprayed the oven cleaner. You've waited. You've scrubbed. Cleaners never come clean, and the whole door still looks dim. Chemistry. That film is grease, but not fresh grease. It has been repeatedly heated. The oils have oxidized. Proteins have carbonized. What was liquid fat has become a hard, thin, brownish polymer bonded to the glass. Ordinary dish soap will not lift it because dish soap works on fresh grease, not baked on carbon. 2. You need a mild alkali given time, plus a gentle abrasive. 3. Baking soda paste, exactly as we used on the grout. Same tool, different surface, the steps. Open the oven door and let it cool completely if you have used it today. Remake a paste. Half a cup of baking soda, 3 or 4 tablespoons of water, stirred until it holds a shape on a spoon. Spread the paste across the inside of the oven glass with your fingers or a soft cloth. Not the edges where the rubber gasket sits, only the glass. Leave the paste on for 4 hours, longer if it is very stubborn. The paste will dry and turn slightly darker as it lifts the film. After 4 hours, take a damp cloth and wipe. The paste comes off with the film underneath. Here, for any spot that still shows brown, add fresh paste and wait another 2 hours. Not scrape with metal. A plastic scraper or an old credit card edge works for stubborn corners. Sweep with a clean damp cloth twice. Dry with a soft towel. Not do this while the oven is warm. Do not use the oven's self-cleaning cycle in combination. Not add vinegar to the paste. Vinegar and baking soda together cancel each other out chemically and produce carbon dioxide and salt water, which is why the fizzing looks impressive, but the resulting liquid is a mild salt solution, not a cleaner. Use them separately. The cultural context. In many Japanese homes, the oven is smaller and used less often than in Western homes. But the same principle applies to whatever is used often. The stovetop, the fish grill, the rice cooker lid. Wiped after each use while still slightly warm, with a damp cotton cloth. The film never forms because it never has time to bake in. This is the difference between cleaning and maintenance. 6. The greasy range hood filter. The problem. Above your stove, the metal mesh filter of the range hood is thick with tan or dark brown grease. It drips when you touch it. When the hood fan is on, it hums louder than it used to, because air can barely pass through. You have never cleaned it. You are not sure you can. Chemistry. Cooking oil vaporizes when it heats. The vapor rises, meets the cooler metal of the filter, and condenses into a thin film of oil. Every time you cook, another thin layer is added. Over a year, that film is a millimeter thick, sticky, and dust-covered. Chemistry to lift it is simple. Hot water, dish soap, surfactant. The molecules of dish soap have a water-loving end and an oil-loving end, and they wrap around droplets of oil so water can carry them away. This is basic, it works, but it needs heat and it needs a little time. The steps. Take the filter out of the hood. Most lift or slide out with a small latch. Place the filter in your kitchen sink or a large tray. Boil a full kettle. Squirt a generous line of dish soap across the filter. Pour the boiling water slowly over the filter until it is fully submerged. The soap will begin to foam brown almost immediately. That is the grease releasing. Leave it for 30 minutes. Come back. Take an old dish brush and gently scrub both sides. This will lift off in cloudy soap water. Rinse under the hot tap until the water runs clear. Shake off the water. Dry the filter with a towel. Reinstall. Wear gloves. Do not pour boiling water into a shallow ceramic sink that has been cold without warming it first. Sudden heat can crack porcelain. Warm the sink briefly with warm tap water first. If your filter is aluminium, some are stainless steel. Do not add baking soda to this method. Baking soda may darken or dull aluminium over repeated use. Dish soap alone is enough. For a stainless steel filter, a small amount of baking soda in the soak is fine. Cultural context. In Japan, the practice of doing this small maintenance job once a season, particularly before New Year's Day, has a name. Osouji, the big clean of the year, done in late December. Not a spring clean, a year-end reset. The hood filter is exactly the kind of job that gets done at that time, not because it is spiritual, but because it is easier to do a small hard job once a year than to do a small easy job every week, and then discover that the filter has been quietly getting worse the whole time. 7. The kitchen drain that smells sweet and warm. The problem is, some evenings, walking past your kitchen sink, there is a faint, warm, slightly sweet smell rising from the drain. It is not always there. It is worse in summer. Pouring bleach down the drain masks it for a day, then it comes back. Ministry. Inside the drain, in the P-trap, a thin film of grease and food particles builds up on the walls of the pipe. Bacteria feed on it. What you are smelling are the metabolic byproducts of that bacterial film. This is called a biofilm. Bleach kills the surface of the film, but bleach is a liquid, and it flows away with the water. The film underneath is not affected. The bacteria repopulate within a day. You do not need to kill the bacteria. You need to remove the food they are living on. The steps. Boil a full kettle. Pour half a cup of baking soda directly into the drain. Pour a small squeeze of dish soap after it, about a teaspoon. Then, slowly, pour the entire kettle of boiling water down the drain, all at once. The heat softens the grease. The soap emulsifies it. The baking soda deodorizes acidic byproducts. The water carries everything away. Repeat once a week for 3 weeks if the smell is persistent. Then, once a month for maintenance. Do not do this immediately after using a bleach or ammonia product in the sink. Wait a full day between them. Do not pour boiling water into a pipe that you know is old, cracked, or PVC of unknown quality without checking. PVC handles boiling water fine, but if in doubt, use very hot tap water instead. Cultural context. Japanese kitchens often have a small mesh basket at the drain that catches food particles before they enter the pipe. It is emptied at the end of every meal into the compost or waste. Word for these small routine tidyings is simply Souji. Nothing is dramatic, nothing is delayed. The drain does not smell because nothing that would feed the smell ever went down it. Cremate. The stovetop with rings of burned residue. The problem. Around each burner, there are rings of dark brown, sometimes black, residue. It looks burned in. You have sprayed the stovetop cleaner. Scrubbed, you have scrubbed with the scratchy side of the sponge. Some of it lifts. Most of it stays. The chemistry. Fuels, same as the oven glass, essentially. Repeatedly heated grease and boiled over food that has carbonized onto the surface. What is needed is the same. Moisture time. Scrub. Gentle scrub. Cool steps. Ensure the stovetop is cool. Sprinkle baking soda generously across the residue rings. Take a clean cloth, wet it under warm water, wring it out so it is damp but not dripping. Lay the wet cloth over the baking soda. Leave for 30 minutes. Return. Remove the cloth. The baking soda underneath will now be a soft paste that has been in contact with the residue the whole time. With a soft dish scrubber, work the paste over the residue in small circles. The burned rings lift, sometimes in flakes, sometimes as a dark slurry. Clean with the same cloth, rinsed dry with a soft towel. Do not use steel wool on a glass or ceramic stovetop. It will leave scratches you cannot remove. A soft plastic scrubber, a wooden spatula edge, or a plastic scraper are the only safe tools. For gas stovetops with removable cast iron grates, the grates themselves can be soaked overnight in hot water with dish soap in a plastic bin. In the morning, scrub with a stiff brush. Do not soak enameled parts overnight in acid. Use the cultural context. There is a small phrase used in Japanese kitchens, though not often written about. Every meal ends the same way. The stove is wiped while the residue is still soft before it has time to carbonize. Wipe takes 15 seconds. The absence of that wipe, done every day for a year, is what creates the rings you are now trying to remove. This is not shaming. It is only pointing at where the loop was broken and where it can start again. Micro reset. Look at the ingredients used so far. Vinegar, baking soda, dish soap, citric acid, hot water. That is it. So, 4 bathroom problems and 4 kitchen problems. 8 of the hardest cleaning problems in a house. Solved with what you can buy at any supermarket for under $15. Now, the strange part being, when you spend 15 minutes on the toilet ring, and 40 minutes on the oven glass, and half an hour on the range hood, in total, over 3 or 4 evenings, you have solved problems that had been bothering you for years. Not because you worked harder, because the chemistry was right and the time was enough. Every one of these solutions is slower than a spray. Every one of them also actually works. Laundry M9. Tools that smell sour an hour after a shower. The problem. You wash your towels regularly. They come out smelling clean. You fold them. You hang them up. An hour after someone uses one, that towel on the hook smells faintly sour. Not dirty, sour, like slightly turned milk. Washing them hotter. Adding more detergent. Using stronger scent. None of it fixes it for long. Chemistry. Towels are made of thousands of tiny cotton loops. Over months, 3 things build up inside those loops. Fabric softener residue, which is waxy and water repellent. Detergent residue, if you have been using too much. And bacterial biofilm, in the deep fibers, feeding on skin oil and dead skin cells that the wash cycle didn't fully rinse out. The waxy residue coats the fibers, so water no longer penetrates fully. The bacteria live in the coated fibers. When the towel is dry, they are dormant. When you use the towel and it becomes damp with body warmth, meaning they wake up, metabolize, and produce the sour smell within 20 minutes. That is what you are smelling. You cannot cover this smell. You have to strip the fibers, the steps, the towels alone, hot, at the highest temperature they can tolerate, 60 degrees Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit for most cotton towels. Do not add detergent this time. Instead, add 1 full cup of white vinegar to the drum, directly on the towels. The cycle. When it finishes, a second cycle. This time with a very small amount of your normal detergent. No vinegar. Run to completion. Dry the towels fully. If possible, dry them outside in direct sunlight. Ultraviolet light finishes the job by breaking down the last of the odor-producing compounds and leaves the fibers smelling of nothing, which, as we said in the first part, is the smell of clean. If line drying outside is not available, tumble dry fully. Damp towels put into a linen closet are the beginning of the next cycle of sourness. Ventilate the laundry room while running vinegar cycles. Please never mix vinegar with bleach in the machine. If you have used a bleach product recently, run 1 plain water cycle first. Cultural context. There is a specific Japanese practice of drying laundry outdoors, and there are 2 words for it, depending on the fabric. Impiboji is direct sun drying, appropriate for cotton, linen, and most towels. It uses ultraviolet light to sanitize. Big boshi is shade drying, used for silk, wool, wools, dark colors, or delicate fabrics that fade in sun. Sewing, which is not mystical knowledge. It is the kind of thing every household learns from watching their family do it. Read M10, the washing machine seal that smells like mold. Your front-loading washing machine, or the rubber gasket around the door of your top loader, has a slippery gray-black film on it. When you push the folds of rubber apart, you can see it more clearly. Sometimes small drops of standing water hide there. The whole machine, when the door is closed, smells faintly of mold. And the mold smell transfers to some of your clothes. Chemistry. The seal is designed to trap water, so the machine does not leak. That works, but it also creates a permanently damp environment where soap residue and skin cells accumulate. Mold and yeast colonies grow in that environment. What you are smelling is the colony and its metabolic byproducts. Things fix it, physically wiping the film out of the seal. And once a month, running an empty hot cycle with citric acid to descale and sanitize the interior of the machine that you cannot see. These steps. Open the machine door. Pull the folds of the rubber seal apart gently, working around the whole ring. Take an old cloth, dampen it, and add a teaspoon of baking soda to the damp part. Sweep every fold of the seal firmly. You will see gray and black film transfer to the cloth. Rinse the cloth. Wipe again. Repeat until the seal comes back clean. Then wipe it dry. Once a month, run an empty hot cycle Add a quarter cup of citric acid powder to the empty drum. Set the machine to the hottest, longest cycle. Let it run to completion. The interior heating element, the pipes, the sump. Do not add detergent. Do not add clothes. Between washes, leave the door of the machine open at least a few inches so the interior can dry. Do not run vinegar cycles more than once a month. Acetic acid, over time, can degrade the rubber of the seal. Citric acid, in a monthly cycle, is gentler on rubber and works as well, or better for descaling. Here, never combine citric acid and bleach in the machine. Cultural context. The Japanese washing machine, like Japanese homes generally, tends to be treated as a piece of equipment that is maintained, not just used. The door is left ajar. The filter, which most Western machines also have, but people rarely open, is cleaned every few months. The rhythm is not obsessive. It is simply the assumption that a machine you take care of will last 15 years, and a machine you neglect will last 5. The same thrift of attention we called Mottainai earlier applied to what most people don't think of as a cleaning problem. Is micro-reset. Something has been happening while we've walked through these methods. You might have noticed. Every problem so far was framed the same way in your head before this video. As a battle, as something you had to fight with a stronger product. Every solution we have used has been the opposite. Something small, something quiet, something that mostly works while you are doing something else. This is not a philosophy. It is just the honest observation that surfaces do not need to be attacked. They need to be understood. When you understand the chemistry, you almost always find that the solution is smaller than the marketing said it was. Glass and screens M11. Mirrors and windows that show streaks. Problem. You clean the bathroom mirror. It looks clear. Then, in a certain light, or when the room gets steamy, you see streaks. Clean again. Streaks again, just in different places. Chemistry. Streaks on glass come from 3 sources. Detergent residue from the last cleaning product. Mineral dissolved in the water you rinsed with, which dries as a haze. Sometimes oil from fingerprints that wasn't fully removed but was smeared thinner. The solution is a very fast evaporating solvent that leaves no residue. Isopropyl alcohol, diluted with distilled water so it is safer for sosazwang surfaces and applied to the cloth, not the glass. 3 steps. Mix a small spray bottle with 50% isopropyl alcohol 70% and 50% distilled water. The isopropyl alcohol is sold in different regions as isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, or surgical spirit, all effectively the same. If distilled water is not available at your store, tap water will work. You may see faint mineral spots on very hard water areas, but it is a small trade-off. Add nothing else. No essential oils, no soap. Spray a lightly folded microfiber cloth 2 or 3 times. Not spray the mirror directly. This is the single most important step. When you spray directly onto glass, some liquid runs down and into the edges, where over time it can damage the silver backing of the mirror. Spraying the cloth avoids this entirely. Wipe the mirror in one direction, top to bottom, in overlapping strokes. Turn the cloth to a dry side. Wipe again in the perpendicular direction. Total time: 90 seconds for a bathroom mirror, 2 minutes for a window. Do not use this solution on eyeglasses, phone screens, or television screens. Please, it can dissolve some of the coatings applied to those surfaces. See the next method. Ventilate the room. Isopropyl alcohol is flammable. Do not use near an open flame, a lit candle, or a gas stove. Pour the bottle away from heat sources. Wear gloves if you are cleaning many mirrors in a session, as alcohol dries out the skin. Cultural context. The Japanese practice of doing a small wipe of the bathroom mirror after each use is not universal, but it is common. Please, 10 seconds with a soft cloth to remove the water droplets before they dry. If you never let the water droplets dry, the minerals never accumulate on the glass, and you have almost nothing to clean. Prevention again, in its smallest possible form. M12. E-glasses, phone screens, television screens. The problem is your eyeglasses have a permanent smudge. Your phone screen looks clean until the light hits it a certain way. Your television screen shows every fingerprint. The wipes marketed for these surfaces are expensive, and you're not sure they're any better than what you already have. Chemistry. These surfaces are not simple glass. AI glasses have anti-reflective coatings. Phone screens have oleophobic coatings that repel oil. Television screens are matte or coated in ways that determine viewing angle. Alcohol, ammonia, cleaners, and many household cleaners can strip these coatings over time, sometimes permanently. What works quietly and safely is a drop of dish soap in warm water. The steps. For eyeglasses, rinse the glasses under warm, running water. Add 1 small drop of dish soap to each lens. Rub gently with your fingertips in circular motions. Rinse thoroughly under warm water. Shake off the water. Dry with a clean microfiber cloth, not a paper towel, not the corner of a shirt. Total time: 45 seconds. For phone screens and television screens, dampen a microfiber cloth with plain warm water only. Wring it out thoroughly so it is barely damp. Wipe the screen in one direction, then the other. If a spot is stubborn, add a tiny drop of dish soap to the cloth. Wipe, then wipe with a plain damp cloth to remove any soap residue. Then dry with a dry microfiber cloth. Spray anything directly onto electronics. Never use paper towels on screens. They have wood fibers that scratch coatings. Use vinegar on coated screens. Patch test on a corner if you are unsure. Cultural context. Care of small daily objects. The correct cloth for the correct surface. The deliberate slowness of maintaining glasses that will last 5 years instead of 2. All of this fits inside Souji as it is practiced in ordinary Japanese homes. Not because there is a philosophy, because the smallest thing done right, repeated, is what makes a home feel calm instead of tired. Eco-Reset. 12 methods. Same 5 ingredients. Notice what has not appeared in this video. No specialty sprays. No wipes. No air fresheners. No lemon scent. No pine scent. No ocean breeze. When we finish the last 2 methods, take a moment and imagine the cabinet under your sink with only the 5 ingredients in it. Us. That is not deprivation. That is quiet. Quiet air is what clean smells like, which is nothing. Air, damp, and small visitors M13. The wardrobe that smells like damp cardboard is the problem. Us. The wardrobe in the guest room. Us. Or the closet under the stairs. Us. Or the drawer at the back of the bedroom smells faintly of damp. Feuds. Nothing is wet. The clothes stored there come out smelling old, even freshly washed ones. You have tried a scented sachet. It only masks the smell for a few days. The chemistry. The smell is caused by mold spores growing on trace organic matter in a space where air does not move and humidity is a little too high. Wood, the paint, the fabric, the paper of any boxes stored there, all can hold moisture. In closed space, humidity has nowhere to go. Mold begins. You cannot spray this away. The scented product simply adds another smell on top. The mold keeps growing. 3 things fix it: airflow, absorption, sunlight applied to what came out of the wardrobe. 3 steps: empty the wardrobe completely. Wipe every interior surface with a cloth dampened with warm water and a drop of dish soap. Dry with a clean towel. Leave the wardrobe doors open for 2 full days. If the room is dry and warm, the interior will fully dry. Take everything you removed from the wardrobe, and if the weather is fine, hang it outside it. Direct sun for 3 to 4 hours. And linen items is tenpiboji is direct sun will remove almost any lingering smell. Wool, silk, wools and dark colors hikeboji shade drying with good air movement is safer. Before returning items to the wardrobe, place a small container of baking tusuta on a low shelf or in a corner. Place it every 3 months. Baking soda absorbs both moisture and odor molecules quietly, with no smell of its own. Some Japanese homes traditionally used charcoal instead, called sumi, which works the same way. Both are inexpensive, both are unscented. Do not use scented sachets. Do not solve the problem, and if the underlying mold persists, they combine with it into a smell that is worse than the original. Cultural context. In older Japanese homes, wardrobes and futon storage cupboards were opened and aired at least once a season, and bedding was hung outside on dry days to keep it fresh. This is not exotic. It is the practical consequence of living in a humid country where damp is a genuine, ongoing problem. Clearing is the answer. Sealing is not. The ant trail on the kitchen counter. Field. The problem. A thin line of small ants is walking across your kitchen counter from a crack near the window to a corner near the toaster. You have sprayed an ant killer. Some die. New ants arrive within a day. Chemistry. Ants navigate by pheromone trails. The first ant to find food leaves a chemical signal. Here, every ant that follows reinforces it. As long as the trail exists, ants will follow. And as long as the food source at the end of the trail exists, they will keep coming. Individual ants does not remove the trail. Individual ants does not remove the food source. You have to do both. The steps. Mix 1 teaspoon of dish soap in 1 cup of warm water. Put it in a small spray bottle. Spray the ants directly and, please, more importantly, spray the entire path they walked. The soap breaks the waxy layer that keeps water off the ant, and the ant suffocates through its breathing pores. The same soap solution also dissolves the pheromone trail, so followers cannot find their way. Sweep the sprayed path with a clean, damp cloth. Then, find the food. Put somewhere on your counter or in a cabinet nearby. There is a crumb, a drip of honey, a smudge of jam. Sweep the entire counter with the same warm soapy solution. Check the cabinet floors for all sugar, honey, syrup, and open food in sealed containers. Finally, find the entry point, usually a small crack near a window frame or a gap under a door. If you can, fill it with a small amount of clear silicone caulk sold at any hardware store. Please, if you cannot fill it, place a small line of ground cinnamon or black pepper across the crack. Both disrupt ant navigation without harming pets or people. If you have used a commercial ant spray in the past, be aware that many contain pyrethroids, which cats cannot metabolize safely. Ventilate the room fully after any pest cleanup, homemade or otherwise. Cultural context. There is a Japanese phrase, kadohaki, meaning to sweep the front gate or entryway in the morning. It is not just about the appearance of your own doorstep. It is about not letting the day's dust and the day's small visitors come into the house. The ant problem is the modern version of the same idea. The problem is not the ant. The problem is the invitation. Remove the invitation, and the ants stop arriving. 14 problems, 14 solutions, 5 ingredients, plus warm water. Feel about $14 still. You now know more about how to clean your house honestly than most people learn in a lifetime of buying products. But knowing is not enough. If you go back to your normal week, most of these problems will slowly return because the reason they existed in the first place was not your ignorance. It was the absence of a small daily rhythm. That rhythm is what we build in part 3. 90 seconds a day, 20 minutes on a weekend, half day, once a year, at the end of December. That is the whole system. Everything you have learned so far becomes easy when the system carries it. You now know the chemistry. You know the ingredients. You know the methods. None of that will hold on its own for more than a few weeks. Not because you will forget, because a house is not a static thing. House drifts. A wet shower stall, left undried, grows something. A stovetop, wiped once, and then ignored for 3 days, bakes something on. Rain, left alone, begins to smell. This is not failure on your part. This is what surfaces do. They ask for small, regular attention, please, and if that attention doesn't come, they slowly go back to being a problem. The Japanese answer to this is not more energy. It is smaller units of attention, more often. That is the whole system. There are 3 layers, a daily layer that takes 15 minutes total, a weekly layer that takes 20, and a seasonal layer that takes half a day, 4 times a year. Together, they replace almost every large cleaning session you have ever done. The daily 5 small things. None of them take more than 3 minutes. All of them are done at natural pause points in the day, so they do not feel added on top. 1. The squeegee, after the last shower. Whoever showers last that evening takes a small handheld squeegee and pulls the water down the glass and the tile walls. 30 seconds. That is the whole action. The reason this works, as we saw in the grout method, is that mold needs moisture to grow, and a wet wall left overnight is an invitation. A dry wall is not. Do this every evening for 2 weeks, and the black lines at the bottom of the grout stop coming back on their own. If your shower has a curtain rather than a door, replace the squeegee step with running a dry cotton towel down the curtain and pushing the shower window open, if you have one, for the night. Principle is the same. Dry surfaces. 2. The stovetop wipe after cooking. Cooled. While the pan is still on the counter cooling, while the kettle is boiling for tea, take a damp cloth and wipe the stovetop. Whatever splattered or bubbled over is still soft. 15 seconds and it is gone. Left overnight, that same splatter will begin to carbonize into the ring you spent 40 minutes on earlier in this video. If you cook 3 meals a day, do this 3 times. If you cook once, do it once. The rule is simple. Wipe while it is soft. 3. The morning sweep of the entryway. This is kadohaki, the practice we mentioned in the ant method. 2 minutes with a small broom, sweeping from just inside the front door out to the edge of the property. Whatever came in on shoes yesterday, whatever blew in overnight is taken back outside before it works its way further into the house. This is not spiritual. It is not meditative. It is what a person does before starting the day, because dust that leaves through the front door in the morning is dust that never becomes part of the floor. Here, in many Japanese neighborhoods, it is also done as a small courtesy, extending the sweep a little onto the shared path. Either you do that is up to you. 4. Air the bedding. 2. While you are getting dressed, pull back the duvet and sheets and let them fall open. If it is a fine day, open the bedroom window. 20 minutes of airflow while you are downstairs having coffee dries the overnight moisture from the fabric and prevents the slow buildup that makes a bedroom feel stale by winter. If it is a fair weather day and you have somewhere outside to hang bedding, even a balcony rail, take the pillowcases and the top sheet out for an hour of sunlight. Boji again. It costs nothing. It replaces most of what a scented fabric spray is claiming to do, and it actually works. The 2-minute countertop wipe, last thing before bed. Kitchen counter, bathroom counter, front hallway table. Both, a damp cloth, 1 wipe each in a slow loop through the house. 20 seconds to 2 minutes total. This is the one that most people resist because it feels like extra work at the end of the day. It is not extra work. It is what saves you the Saturday morning session that would otherwise be waiting. Walking into a kitchen at 7 in the morning with a clean counter is a different feeling than walking into one with last night's crumbs. That difference, repeated every day, is a large part of what people mean when they talk about a calm home. Please, add up those 5, roughly 15 minutes. That is the daily layer. Weekly Souji. Walk once a week on a day that suits you. You do a single slow loop through the house with a small kit. 20 minutes for a flat or small home. 30 to 40 for a larger one. It is small. one microfiber cloth, one thick cotton cloth, the Zokin type. Here, a small spray bottle of warm water with a single drop of dish soap in it. 3. A separate small spray of the 50-50 water and isopropyl mixture for glass. It is all. No basket of specialty products. The root matters. Being centuries or doing it in the same order every week means you stop having to think about what comes next, and the whole thing becomes automatic within a month. A workable route. Start at the front door. Wipe the door handle, the light switch beside it, and the frame around the door where hands touch it. Move to the entryway floor. Sweep or wipe, depending on the surface. Ease into the main living room. Wipe the coffee table. Use the arms of chairs where hands rest. Use the remote controls. The light switches. These, not the whole floor, just the surfaces that get touched. Here, households. Into the kitchen. Wipe the tops of the cabinets you can reach, the front of the refrigerator, the handles of every drawer and cabinet door. Wipe the taps and the base of the faucet. Rinse the sink. In the mirror above the sink if you have one. Into the bathroom. Wipe the mirror with the alcohol spray on the cloth. Keep the taps. Wipe the toilet lid, seat and rim. Wipe the light switch. Push the shower curtain or door back and check the corners for any damp spots that need drying. Into each bedroom in turn. Wipe the doorknob. The light switch. The handles of dressers and closets. And the surface of the bedside table. Not deep cleaning, just the touched surfaces. Back to the front door. 20 minutes for a one-bedroom flat. 25 for a two-bedroom. 40 for a three-bedroom house. You will find, within 3 weeks of doing this walk, that most of the deep cleaning you used to do on weekends has quietly stopped being necessary. The touched surfaces are the ones that get visibly dirty. The rest of the house takes care of itself between the seasonal cleans. This is the trade you are making. 20 minutes on a Sunday afternoon in exchange for 4 hours on a Saturday morning that you no longer have to give up. That is the weekly layer, Osouji, 4 times a year. Souji. Break the word in 2. The O at the front means big. Souji means cleaning. Together, big cleaning. Traditionally, is in Japan. Souji is done once a year, is in late December, before the new year. It is a single half-day session where the year is prepared for closing and the house is prepared for opening again. It is not a religious event. It is a practical one, done in almost every household, with the whole family often involved for a few hours. For our system, we borrow the idea and adapt it. In Japan, Osouji is one session, once a year, is in late December. What we are doing here 4 times a year at each change of season is not the traditional Japanese practice. It is an adaptation that spreads the load. The end of December is still the largest of the 4, but the smaller ones through the year keep any single one from becoming overwhelming. Each season has a natural focus based on what has just happened weather-wise and what is about to happen. Winter Osouji, late December. The traditional one. Sweep, clean the kitchen, the oven glass, the range hood filter, the tops of high cabinets. Check window seals for any cold air gaps and clean the tracks. Wash curtains, empty and wipe the refrigerator top to bottom. Rotate the wardrobe from summer to winter clothing and use the empty moment to air the wardrobe fully. Spring or Souji, late March or early April, the house has been closed against cold for months. Open every window on a fair day. Wash the interior of the windows and the frames. Wipe the walls where furniture has stood against them all winter. Take rugs outside and shake them, or vacuum both sides. Check for any signs of damp that developed in the coldest weeks and treat them while the weather is dry. Summer Osouji, late June or early July, before the hottest weeks and the humid period, focus on damp prevention. Wipe every bathroom surface, including the ceiling above the shower, where mildew often begins invisibly. Clean the washing machine seal and run the citric acid cycle we described. Clean the drain in the kitchen and the bathroom. Air all bedding fully in the sun on a dry day if you can. Autumn or Souji, late September or early October, before the heating comes on. Vacuum out heater vents or radiator surrounds where dust has settled all summer. Clean the range hood filter again in preparation for the heavier cooking of the cold months. Sweep and wax any wood floors that show wear. Air winter blankets and duvets in the sun before they go on the beds. Do half a day, 4 times a year. That is the seasonal layer. Total time added up across a year, 15 minutes a day, times 365. About 90 hours. 20 minutes a week times 52. About 17 hours. Half a day 4 times a year. About 616 hours. Altogether, roughly 123 hours a year on cleaning. Compare that to a typical weekly battle pattern. 4 to 6 hours every weekend, times 52 weekends, plus 1 big spring clean of a full day. Somewhere between 200 and 300 hours a year. Cleaner. The difference is what you get back, and the house is cleaner more of the time than it was before. The anxiety drop. Something happens, usually around the 3rd or 4th week of doing this, that no one warned you about. You stop noticing that cleaning is a category of your life. The Saturday morning that used to belong to the vacuum cleaner, and the spray bottles is just Saturday morning again. You wake up. The kitchen counter is already clean because you wiped it last night. The bathroom is already dry because someone squeegeed the shower. Nothing is calling your name. The cabinet under the sink stops being a source of low background stress. There are 5 things in it. You know what they do. Nothing there is unopened, loose, or nearly empty, or on sales, or expired. Nothing is scented in a way that makes you sneeze when you open the door. You stop buying things you were buying almost automatically. You realize how much of the shopping list, the mental one you carry around, was cleaning products. That whole section quietly disappears. Guests come over. Nothing feels rushed before they arrive. There isn't a hidden pile of clutter that got shoved somewhere. The house is what it is every day because the daily walk keeps it that way. Without food, you sit down. At some point, weeks in, someone new visits and says the house feels calm. They may not know why. You do. It is because there is no smell of anything. No pine, no lemon, no ocean, no vanilla, no fig and cedar. clean air, and whatever is cooking. The eye and the nose relax at the same time. This is what the system does over months, not the individual methods. Rhythm. The close. We have covered a lot in this hour. 5 ingredients. 14 methods. 15 minutes a day. 20 minutes on a weekend. Half a day, 4 times a year. If you take away only one idea, take this one. You have not been failing at cleaning. You have been trying to do a slow job with fast tools and buying more of them when they didn't work. Please, every problem in this video came apart the same way. Wait longer. Use less. Understand what you are looking at. The 5-ingredient pantry is one drawer. The methods are on paper to somewhere or in your head, and after a few weeks you will not need to look them up. The system is 15 minutes a day. A calm home does not a store's fragrance section. It smells like nothing. That is the point. If this was useful, please, the full pantry chart, please, the room-by-room protocols, please, and a small printable card of the daily 5 and the weekly walk are in the guidebook linked below. You do not need it to do any of this. Everything you need is in this video. The guidebook is only there if you want a copy on your kitchen shelf. One last thing before we close. Everything in this video is what works in an ordinary home. If you have unusual surfaces, antique wood, historical finishes, unglazed stone, delicate fabrics, test in a small hidden area first. Approach also means a careful one. The next video looks at the Japanese practice of caring for wood, floors, footing, boards, furniture, the surfaces most people either ignore or overtreat. Same tone, same pantry, different problems. Until then, unwipe. Then the next. That is the whole practice. That is Souji. That is all it ever was.